Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to Islamic Finance. This will be our final episode in which we will summarize some of the other modes of financing and a couple of other principles. However, this is not the end of Islamic Finance. There are many other topics, many other complex instruments that we might not be able to cover in this last segment. So today, as we said, few more important principles will be covered. But before we go into this, I just wanted to highlight one important thing. When we look at the system of Islamic economy in general, what we have to understand is that everything we so far cover, which is maybe, let's say, 10–20% of the entire subject, comes down to the whole system of what Islam wants to see in society. So if you think about global financial crisis again, when there were trouble and we wanted to bring the system back into the normal, what did governments do? What did people do?
They started taking away interest.
They started stimulating it by either for giving loans or giving money to the people. Like in Australia, government gave about $1,000 to each citizen. In US, governments gave money to the corporations. So they started stimulating so that people could recover, economy can grow, the jobs, people can purchase stuff, everybody can participate. So even in Australia, for example, when government gave $1,000, which is not much, what happened? People started buying, confidence came back, people started producing, and we actually weathered the global financial crisis. Unemployment was not bad, things started getting normal. In Islam, the whole system is organized in a way to take care of itself. So, for example, let's say this is our economy, where people need to buy those things. Okay, people buy stuff. If you look at the people in general, you will have, let's say, rich people here, and then less rich, you know, maybe this is billionaires, millionaires, people in thousands, and here, let's say, people who are those that you can give zakat or something like that. So they are below, let's say, poverty line. Okay? Now, in Islam, we have a couple of institutions, if you wish. Number one is these rich people here, when they have to give compulsory charity, which is zakat. Okay, how much? 2.5% of the wealth, like a savings or any kind of, if it is a business, assets that are for buying and selling. Okay, so any kind of saving fund, cash, any of these assets zakatable, you have to pay that every year. Now this money goes from rich to who?
To the poor.
To the poor. So we give this specifically to these people. Now what is happening with these groups of people here?
They've been taken care of.
They've been taken care of. So in reality, just like before we said, it's stimulating people, it bringing these people who are poor, it bringing them back to economy to participate. Okay? Because now these people can participate in economy. All right, let's say something, you remember inheritance law in Islam. Prophet ﷺ said they make up half of the knowledge. Inheritance in Islam, it's compulsory again, and it breaks the, for example, wealth. Okay, it breaks the chunks of wealth. Let's say you have a billionaire who has massive wealth. This money is then broken down, so it makes many, many millionaires, and so on. So it breaks down money into the chunks. It creates more people who have money, opportunity, something never before. So what is happening with these people, it again brings them to economy as a kind of investors. Okay? So law of inheritance was to break down wealth, so it is not circulating only amongst the few, as we know from Quran, isn't it? So that does not just circulate amongst the few. So these people as investors, they come in the economy, and there are more of them. They have opportunity to grow wealth. With the growth of wealth, they pay zakah more, bringing more people in economy. What is happening with the economy when you bring people who buying and selling, people who investing, and those people other who are here already, who start maybe managing based on musharaka or other partnership basis, mudaraba money. Economy grows, entrepreneurship. It stimulates entire country. In a case we miss somebody, what do we have? We have, for example, institution of waqf, which targets, sometimes you might miss spots in society, not because they are poor or something, but there might be project things, stuff needs support. So you have waqf, for example. Take care in perpetuity, take care of certain specific things. Or there is a sadaqah which is, again, targeting some other people. There could be a person here, he might lose everything. He might not be in this category, you might miss it, but he might be entitled for some other thing, some other share. Okay? So when we have these things participating more in economy, here we want justice. Here we want these people with money to cooperate with other people who have money or have ideas or are just participating on a partnership basis. So that this guy has a chance to come up to be here based on his work. So he invests with him, they work together, they can grow here. So this can grow. And these people will push more. We are not socialism that everybody must be here or here or here. We understand this will be always. But you have to have economic opportunity for people, so if they work, have talent, they can benefit everybody, plus they can end up here, which is not the goal. We understand. Craving for this is not the end. Point is that you create system that helps, is beneficial. It's not to be here or have a bigger checkbook or something like that. It's to be productive. It's to add value. It's to be able to do something with what you are doing. Okay? So this is Islamic system that is based on justice and the rules and real principles, timeless principles. Okay? Now, mudaraba, we said mudaraba is another mode of financing, which we're going to briefly cover. What is mudaraba? What does it mean, mudaraba?
It would be to
Mudaraba.
give a certain type of a capital to someone.
Yeah, from mudarib, like a fund manager or manager, somebody who does something. Yeah.
We have Rabbul Mal.
Rabbul Mal is investor. Yeah. So mudaraba is mudarib. So what's the difference then between musharaka and mudaraba?
In musharaka, you're both giving.
Both giving money, something. However, not always you have somebody with money, as we have lots of youth, talent, idea, as I mentioned before here. They might be somewhere in the middle or here. They might not have, but they have brain. These people might have money, or maybe the other people have some wisdom, know how to manage stuff. So you want to bring mudarib and investor, Rabbul Mal, into the business. And then they do their thing and again share like before. They can negotiate profit and loss, but, they can negotiate profit, and the loss is always shared according to capital contribution. In this case, this investor is putting 100%, so he's risking his contribution of 100%. He's putting 100% of the time, he's risking that. Okay, so that is how mudaraba work. Now, somebody might ask, okay, what's the importance of this? On this we can build investment or saving accounts in the bank, isn't it? In this case, investors would be those who are depositing money into the account, and the bank is mudarib. If this is a bank, okay, it would have all of these investors, opening, saving, or investment account, and the bank would be mudarib here. When bank wants to mobilize money, that's how they do it. When they want to, what they do with money, when they get it, then they become investor or Rabbul Mal. So how, in which relationship, for example, in musharaka basis, somebody want to buy a home. Okay, so they buy home with the client, 20-80%, for example. They get a profit. When they get a profit, they distribute this to those who hold accounts, and so on and so forth. Okay, that is just a brief kind of summary how it works. We mobilize the fund, we deploy the funds, and help people. So idea is to grow, to help, to benefit your community. Okay.
The theory of profit and loss
Mhm.
sharing is also working here.
Also working because these guys, for example, investor is putting money 100%. So they're risking any losses on investor in Mudaraba. And Mudarib, fund manager, because the fund manager, in fact, they don't do anything. They don't put money. Bank might put the money, then it would be musharaka. But if forget a bank, anybody, I work as a Mudarib, as a manager. I don't put anything except my skill, time. So what do I lose if there is a loss? I cannot be liable for a capital unless I was neglectful. I did something that I was not supposed to do. Then that is a negligence. I did something that I could be liable for. So that is a little bit
Like what?
different. For example, I was told not to invest in certain assets, and I did that. Like last night I was watching documentary, the guy who was running the fund, and he invested $6 billion in European government bonds and a small firm. And he cleaned out customer accounts. $6 billion, he lost. Huge case. Now, if we said, do, only here, and you put it here, well, why did you do that? You did something, that is not your decision. You broke the rules. So any kind of activity like this, we cannot support it. You can be liable for the loss because now you're going beyond the risk we told you. We don't want. You are Mudarib, we gave you money to buy and sell tables, and you go buy and sell, I don't know, watermelons. Okay, so forget batik, come do your business, right? So that's what we want. Makes sense? So that's just a picture how this stuff works. Okay. Now these are profit and loss sharing. However, we said that not everything is run on profit and loss sharing basis. Sale and lease contract definitely work a little bit differently. So what sort of sale and lease contract do you know?
Ijara.
Mm-hmm. Ijara is what? Lease?
Lease.
So ijara and what else we have in sale and lease?
Istithna.
Istisna.
Okay,
Salam.
let me say murabaha now.
Murabah.
Okay, what else we have?
Salam.
Salam.
Okay. And istisna. What is ijara? It's a lease.
Lease.
Okay, how does lease work? Let's say we have our contract. Yep. We say we have party A and B. What is in this contract? What are the other things we need? We need
the person who's going to.
So these are A and B.
Okay.
They are parties in the
So we
contract.
need the subject matter.
Subject matter. Okay, something that is being bought or sold.
So
And what else?
consideration.
That's right, consideration, which is money payment. Okay, so I give you this, you give me that. Okay, let's see how these sale or lease based contract or modes of financing work. This could be anything, for our purposes we'll see how we go. So let's say this is now car, for instance. Subject matter is a car. In a lease, you're renting the car, and what are you actually giving to B?
You're giving him money.
Money.
You are giving to B right to use that car.
Benefit from
Benefit.
Benefit.
Yeah?
Sorry.
Okay.
So in ijara, it's all about giving benefit.
Yes.
Right to use it, let's say 1 year, $1,000. So they're paying you for a rent. Ownership is with you.
Yes.
In a sale like murabaha, and murabaha is usually type of a sale where you buy something for let's say 100 and when you sell, it is you add markup. Okay. Now we said before, sometimes this instrument is misused through various commodity murabaha and transactions, but in general, idea is that you buy it and you disclose how much it costs you, and then you add your profit for doing this business. So you would add, for example, you bought it for 100, you add 25, you sell for 125 to pay later in installments. So this is widely used today. You can finance machines, equipment, things, and sometimes bank between themselves through commodity murabaha, manage their liquidity positions and so on. So it's a very interesting instrument, but we don't want entire Islamic banking to become about murabaha or ijara. Okay? So inshallah, after this short break, we are going to continue this discussion.
Imagine that the Anbiya, they were the ones that were the most beloved to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and they had the hardest times.
He assumed that he had some kind of superiority and he was a better, more chosen, a better person because he had this wealth. And then you look at all the other people who had wealth, and some of them were the worst people. He had Fir'aun and
reviving your niyyah time and again, that you're doing insincerely for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
Most of the youth, they think, oh, I'm going to pray when I'm old, it's okay now, I'll have fun in my life. Later on I'll work, I'll go on my bed, I'll pray 5 times a day. And all these things, they think that's later on in their life, and they don't know when they will die.
Amira, who's your role model?
Khadija radiallahu anha.
And why?
Because she was Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam's wife, and she was the first lady to believe in Islam.
Welcome back. We are talking about Islamic modes of financing in today's last episode in Islamic Finance. We are discussing debt-based financing, meaning that it is not profit and loss sharing arrangement. It is simple sale or a lease of a product. Now, in Murabaha, we say we buy something, we sell at the markup, and in this case, immediately ownership is transferred. So you owe debt as a result of Murabaha. That's why when you are securitizing, as they say, or making other complex product out of Murabaha financing, this is an end result which is a debt. And this cannot be then sliced in the shares and sold as a sukuk or anything, okay? So this doesn't work. That's why we would see normally ijara is much more popular choice. Okay, so that is Murabaha, and of course a reason why people would choose to this convenience is because they don't have to pay now. They can pay later in Murabaha. So difference between normal sale and Murabaha is that in a normal sale you don't disclose your markup. In Murabaha you have to disclose this upfront, so we know basically what's happening. Okay, so this is, of course, when you look at the banks, main problem with these things is this in a bank synthetic or real trade? You see, and in general Islamic finance you always have to look at this in that fashion, because in Murabaha, if this is a bank, they have to buy this before they sell it, and they have to own it. It has to be in their possession, and it has to be something that pass ownership to them before they can make a transaction. So when we look at these transactions, whether it's sale or lease, we want to see some genuine trade movements. A synthetic transaction would be just maybe on the paper or on something that is not real. And we have to look why people do that? Is there some real reason behind certain ways, certain laws, certain tax implications, restrictions? So these are sometimes very complex things that needs to be analyzed. Look at the details. And of course, when we judge financial institution, we cannot take judgment on the whole thing. We go usually product by product, because every product, sometimes you might have two products in the same place, might meet different standards differently. So one might be acceptable, where otherwise might be not so great. So this is where the details are, in the way we acquire ownership, in the way we price these things, and whole heaps of things. Okay?
If in Murabbaha, if I wanted to purchase a house,
Yep.
and I went to the bank, and the house was maybe 500,000.
Yep.
And they agreed to do it Murabbaha, and they went to the person that owns the house, and they gave him half of that money. Will it still be? Can they
Why
still
would they give him half of the money?
just to gain? They said they'll pay him, and they gave him half of the money for the time being.
Yeah,
Well,
the promise, you know, the
uh,
promise for
But
buying
the promise
product.
for buying the house, and they'll give him more.
If they gave him half of the money, then they bought it on Murabaha. You promised to buy the house.
Yes.
They go to the person and they buy it. Whatever it is, maybe they bought it also on Murabaha.
Yes.
Okay, maybe. But that would mean another person who is financing or whatever is the arrangement. That person who is selling, then he is ready to take that risk.
Yes.
Besides, that's not usually what happened, because if that was the case, then first person would go to him.
Normally, what I meant is, in Murabbaha, normally when you go to the bank, they purchase the house for
That's
you.
right. That's right. So they make you like an agent to pick the house,
Okay.
to find the house. Then they would purchase or appoint you as an agent for them to purchase on their behalf.
Okay.
At the end of the day, they have to purchase through agent or themselves. They have to own the asset,
Okay.
because you cannot sell something to a customer that you don't have.
So if they partially own it, still they cannot sell it.
No. They, even if they put, let's say they arranged, I give you 50% now and 50% later.
Okay. Yes.
Okay, that is full ownership.
Okay.
Okay, so the ownership in that case is transferred directly to them. Now they're paying in installments.
Okay. Yes.
So in the same way, if I sell you house on installments, it's your house.
Yes.
You can sell it to the other person. That's what we call tawarruk.
Okay.
Okay, that's one version of tawarruk, which is I buy something on credit and maybe I sell it on the spot or something like that. Usually people do it in order to gain some liquidity. Now in this case, if the person I'm buying and selling from are the same, this is type of riba. However,
بيع العينة.
that's right.
Yeah.
However, if they are different parties, then it is acceptable under certain conditions, but we again don't want these sorts of transactions to be the main thing that we do.
That we
Because people can see and say, okay, this is something that might start resembling fictitious sales. Even when you buy and sell and there are different people or brokers on the metal exchange or something, that aluminium that they use as a thing to do commodity is not end up being used anywhere. It never leaves the warehouse. It just circulates. This is small problem we have. Unfortunately, we don't have solution for many of these liquidity management tools, but this is where Islamic banking is trying to develop some solutions. But at the moment, we are still not there. We are maybe, and
Level
this is
3,
depends
you can say.
on level, I don't know what level I call it, but let's say some of these institutions, let's say the best satisfy usually basic requirements.
Yes.
So we are at the bare minimum of Sharia compliance. We tick box. We are not in haram or something like that. Are we, as the kids say, are we there yet? No. Okay, we are not there yet. We need a lot more to do. A lot more awareness, a lot more thinking, not just do quick. we have to develop the products that will have unique characteristics, not just reverse engineer what's there. Because all of these repos and stuff is already been there in conventional. So we have to develop different people, different habits, different understanding, and work your way. Because now people are so used to what is already there. So even when they become, I mean, the fact that majority of the experts in Islamic finance, you must bring them from conventional and then trade them, and they still having the head of in conventional. It's a what that makes us. What that makes us in reality. If they can, and especially sometimes the way they communicate these products, easily deceive people. Easily deceive people. So we have to work, we have to educate ourselves to understand these things, understand the tricks, and being able to separate where is the spin of ethical transaction and where is the reality. Okay? Now, Salam and istisna are almost like opposite of murabaha. Okay? Almost. In murabaha, you get the goods immediately, ownership passed to you, and money is coming later. In these, for example, Prophet ﷺ, when he came to Medina, he saw people, what did they do?
They were
regarding salam. What did they used to do?
They used to give the money, and they would give them the goods later on.
That's right. So they would give money first. In murabaha, commodity you get first. Yeah, you get a car
commodity
first.
And the money comes later.
Here, and this is usually talking about staple food, fungible things. Okay, when you talk about salam, and you get what? Goods later. So maybe it's a date. Okay, what
wheat,
else is a fungible? Wheat, barley. By analogy, scholars include, for example, oil, iron ore, electricity. All of these things can be done in this arrangement. Okay? So you can, in a sense, organize to pay someone, but you must pay fully in advance and receive these things later on. So this is helping people finance. Maybe farmer want to upgrade, buy seeds, or somebody want to build plant, electricity, what they call refinery, oil refinery, or what they call this reactor, not the reactor.
Power plant?
Power plant. Somebody want to build a power plant or extend it. You can buy future, and this is exceptional to these two contracts. You can buy future product which is not existing, and this is only exceptional here, that you buying something that doesn't exist. Let's say electricity. And you give them $1 billion to build a plant or extension, and they give you that electricity
the same like
later.
The family houses? The same like the family houses or the houses?
That would not come under salam. It's not fungible under salam. Okay, so these things work with salam. Istisna is variation. Here is where we build manufacturing contract. Okay, this is a forward type of contract. This is manufacturer's contract. In istisna, subject matter is opposite of salam. In salam, they must be identical, fungible items. In istisna, it is always non-fungible. It's something you manufacture.
So it could be a car, a house.
It could be a house, for example. Let's say construction. So for example, we want to build super fast railway line from Cairo to Alexandria. So tomorrow, we can go have a nice picnic there and come back, okay?
And get some water.
All right, so how much? So we go to Johannesburg then, and do it the other way around. So, all right, so how do we finance this stuff? How do we finance this? Somebody has to give money. Somebody has to get this stuff. So government usually get involved, to talk maybe $10 billion. I have a friend, he's working on $10 billion project in Malaysia, for example. And, it's a sukuk for one of these projects, railway lines, infrastructure. And there is 100 firms that works on these things. Hundreds works, it's $10 billion, huge project. Now we can, give them money, and in istisna actually you can give it in installments, and they will give you this. Okay, they will give you this when it is finished. Okay, they can also make another arrangement. Okay, you construct, and we will give you other type of wealth. For example, we will lease you finished product for 20 years. We will give you usufruct or a benefit of this product for 20 years. You know how they have, and then they can collect revenue from the tickets, for example, for 20 years and pay off. And then it transfer back, go back to the government. So for example, if you want to build something like that in Egypt, government makes similar arrangement with a construction firm to finance certain infrastructure projects. Okay, and then they lease this, they may put this in sukuk or any type of investment vehicle, and this is how you solve society problems. This is how you work together. This way you are financing something that is real. Okay, and this way, for example, let's say, you know how sometimes you have organizations that give certain money to the people and then it disappears in certain countries and you don't know where it went. All you know is you have billions of dollars in a loan and they're coming after you. As a country, you don't want this. You want, if money is coming as a loan, it only can be if it is 0% interest loan. But if it is really coming to help us in any way, shape or form, it must come into some project. It must come into something. Otherwise, we see government's going to misuse the money. It's going to disappear. There's going to be corruption. And you know, the least thing they worry, it is haram. But we want to know that it will be used and that we can work together to make infrastructure project and so on. So as you can see, these are the kind of different ways that we can do different things. Now, any questions on this one?
Well, I have a question regarding in case of default.
Yes.
Either in Ijara or Salam, how it works in Islamic law.
Of course, in unfortunate case of default, it always depends. In Ijara and Murabaha, there is asset. You in Ijara, you own it, and usually they structure Ijara where after you made your payments, it is transferred to you as a maybe gift or some payment. And they make it as a separate document, promise, in order not to resemble two-in-one contracts. Okay? But they would transfer it at the end. Here, ownership is immediately yours. However, they would keep house as a security. So in any case, house or whatever is happening would be kept like some sort of similar to mortgage, if you like. It's a very ugly word, but and in case of default, that can be sold again. Okay, but we want just pricing, just what we discussed before. We want a justice in this, not just liquidate the price and get the person out, and be patient. Manners. See, Islamic manners are not just Sharia compliant buy and sell. In a bank, how you deal with people. When they're defaulting, how you deal with them. Give them time. So we want entire ethics of dealing with each other to reflect Islamic way of dealing with things. Not just, okay, I make a contract Sharia compliant, and isn't it? So this is what we want to ensure, that when people come, they have that full experience. So inshallah, after next break, we're going to conclude this topic and bring some summary, inshallah.
Try to recap what we do here at Huda TV for the past week, and we try to share with you some of the latest news that is happening behind the scenes here at the station.
Living Islam would love a cooking show to be aired for Arabic dishes. Also more programs for children regarding manners.
We want to go ahead and take a look at our YouTube page right now and see how it looks as it stands. Well, I'm on the screen right now, but I'm not on TV. I'm actually through YouTube, as you can see right there. It's the same exact thing that you see on TV here live. It's exactly the same thing that is on our YouTube page through our live streaming. A great way to stay in touch with us.
It's my first time to call Huda TV, but I like it too much.
Because there is no program in Huda TV that it is not important for our Muslims, inshallah.
Welcome back. We're talking about Islamic finance. This is our last segment. So inshallah, just before I go into the last segment, tell me what are some of the main things that you learned in this couple of episodes we did on Islamic finance? What are some of your key points that come to you, you know, like this is something like I learned or something. What could you share with us?
I'm going to make this company, EMC.
Okay, good.
At first, as a Muslim myself, I took Islamic finance very lightly, and my day-to-day actions, I thought that I don't fall into. I'm not from amongst those people who could be in the danger of being in interest and so on. But I've realized that a person as an individual, every person. It is almost as if every person needs to learn this, because there is, this is important, because I'm going to be a person who's bringing food back home to my family. I'm giving out, I want to help people. Is my money pure? The money that I'm consuming, you know. So basically, if you are studying as a student, the money that you're earning. So basically all of this here, it has made me realize how important it is that we wonder sometimes why is my iman not lifting up? Why am I not getting that spiritual, you know, advancement? And you realize that sometimes it could be because of this small negligence in our lives.
MashaAllah, that's a good one. Anybody else?
First, I think that firstly, I think that finance is not really suitable for me, because I think I'm not. I don't like finance actually. But somehow when I learn a little bit about finance, and besides although I would become a doctor in the future, but somehow I think that finance will be a topic that must be mastered by everybody.
Yep. Mm-hmm. So it does include everyone, and everyone will be touched in some way.
Mm-hmm. I have never known that finance could be very interesting. Although it's a little complex and I need time to think and to digest everything, but I think it's a crucial knowledge that everybody has to know. I mean, everybody's going to start living on their own. They're not going to depend on the government or their parents for the rest of their life, and these are the very. I have never thought that finance could affect the whole community, because before this, my opinion is just that Islamic finance is on the bankings, and the accountants and bank do the work. But the reality is every part of us actually took a really important role in the country's economy.
I guess, when this, like Facebook started with youth, and you said to us that you told us before 500 million from the youth, and they didn't promote such a stuff before. Something really challengeable. We have to learn how to use our mind to
This is leadership stuff. You see, thinking about finance, understanding how life works, how things work, how they relate to each other. This is a stuff for leaders to have in their mind when they're putting these pieces together. Because, you know, leadership, you have a passion to do something. Then you have to take responsibility for those who are behind you, who are helping you, are part of the group that is going to tackle these challenging problems. So amongst our youth, we have to have those like Abdurrahman ibn Auf who will take on the challenge. And this is why understanding this aspect is very critical. In fact, if you see even in Western countries, most of these MBA degrees now, very popular with senior managers and those who are aspiring to be leaders. They include, strategic maybe management, organizational behavior, marketing, accounting, and all of these financial and other areas, so that you are really a rounded person. You don't go and lead the organization as a CEO or chairman or head of this, head of that, and you don't have understanding how other parts of the company work together. What is the cash flow? What is this? So you have to have broad mind. So this is what Islam wants from us, to have a complete understanding of life and things, and that when we take responsibility for something, and we want to take huge responsibility, our aspiration is very high to be upper hand, isn't it? We want to be Khalifa on the earth at the end of the day. How if we don't discharge our basic obligation, take care of ourselves, create a relationship where we take care of our own problem, able to facilitate and help each other. So if we can do that for ourselves, we can then expand and start and help everybody else. So we have a system which we know, if implemented, it will be mercy for everybody. Everybody will be better off. So in the last segment, I just want to share with you one small story. And that was a story once after this financial crisis happened and all that. Two bankers were sitting together, and one of them, like us, he was explaining to he was a Muslim, and he was working in Islamic bank, and he was explaining to the colleague from another it's normal bank, this is Islam, we do this, we do that, and all of these things we summarize in this couple of episodes. So this guy was sitting and listening, and he said, that is beautiful. I've been sitting here, we come lunch, have together, eat, drink together every day, and I've been listening to you, it's fantastic. I mean, what you're telling me, it's beautiful. He says, all right, he's felt something in his voice. He says, but you know what? It's too good to be true. It's too good. It's so beautiful, and principles are so good that it never can become anything but, theory and a dream. Okay? So it's too good. It can't happen. So these people, when I was telling this story to someone, I remember I went with my sheikh, we visited another brother, and he asked the sheikh, we talked about zakat. He said, how in Islamic economy people get rich? And sheikh said, what do you mean? He says, don't you have to pay 2.5% every year? Sheikh said, yes. He says, how do you get rich paying 2.5%? So sheikh asked him, how much you pay in taxes? Tax. How much tax you pay to the government? He says about 35%. How much rich people pay in tax? He says 46. So how do they get rich?
That's true.
He was looking at 2.5% zakat as something huge. Huge. You can't get rich. Yet, people pay 45%, nothing. They can get rich. We don't say, how do you get rich? Why? Because with these eyes, we see people getting rich while paying so much. But we don't see people practicing Islamic finance and do things getting rich and successful and organizing and finding solutions and so on. So what does it mean? It means it's up to us to prove it's doable. Because sometimes people, only when they see, they believe. So seeing and believing are two different things. We said only leaders, real people with the insight and the wisdom can see just the shape of the things. And majority of people they will only believe when they see it, and it's up to us to prove them. So for the last segment, I just want to touch, when we have these principles, whether you are, we talk about personal finance, these sorts of things, but from the principle to these contract to complex instruments, we have the answer for these things. So one of the last one I just want to briefly touch, we see lots of talk about in different countries trying to implement, it's called something called sukuk, for example. Okay? It's come from the word which means like a check certificate, it's a plural. So have you heard of this before? Sometimes people translate this as Islamic bond, which is incorrect translation. It is more of a kind of investment certificate. Okay, it's similar to the share. So how these things work? We said sometimes government or big corporations or, the challenge is huge. As we said, you want to build a plane, as we said before. Planes, they have tens and hundreds of thousands parts assembled across the world. Just the logistics of putting these things are huge. And mainly in the world, you have how many companies? Maybe you have a couple. Like you have Boeing and Airbus, for example. By the way, buying shares in Boeing, you think it's okay? They make a Boeings and stuff?
I don't think so.
Would it be okay?
Non-Sharia compliant?
Why?
Unless it works in partnership with Islamic.
So buying shares in Boeing not good?
No, it's good, of course.
No, it's not good. For example, when you screen, you realize that they build also a military equipment as well. So might not be the best thing to invest your money. What about Apple? Apple, make
Apple,
iPhones.
yeah.
It's a good.
Huh?
It's
Good company.
yeah.
You have to think about this company always when you think about it. iTunes sell.
Of course, it will be music.
Check what they sell, how much revenue and these sort of things. So this is how we always think about this. But now we wanna not just, people usually think about these things, or what you can buy, what you cannot, I don't want us to think like that. I want us to build the companies like that. Join our huge wealth. Some of our funds, whether it's sovereign fund by the government or rich individuals, they own 5, 10, 20% of some of the largest companies in the world. So we have money, we have resources as well. And we have the most incredible talented people. So we want to next Apple, next whatever. All right? So, and we have instruments that can respond to these things. So for example, when we have these large projects, so what people normally do, they collect this money. So in the Sukuk, for example, okay, what they would normally do, they would pool the money into some sort of what they call it a special purpose vehicle, which is like a fund or a trust. Here in Egypt, it's would be like a company, for example, special purpose company. This company would collect then billions of dollars to build a hospital, desalination plant, renewable plant, whatever you want. And this body, what you call SPV, which is just like a fund, this body issue these certificates, which are like documents, to investors for exchange for their money. Okay? Now from this, just looking at this, it is similar, that's why they say similar to the bonds. And this is how bonds are usually done with the government. The government raises money and they pay some coupon rates or interest on this. Now for this to be different, then this money must be what? Converted in something that is useful in itself and then sold and leased. Okay, so how do we do that? From here, we can engage in any Islamically acceptable activity, whether it's through musharaka, through ijara, through anything. For example, if we buy a building, let's say, we buy a shopping center. Okay, it's a $1 billion here. 1 billion. We buy this, we lease it to someone, we get the money, and we pay investors. Okay? This way we can not just buildings, we can construct railway lines, we can open the factories, and these all different types of things.
Yes.
So any kind of contract, any kind of arrangements that you can think of, we can have a right response. Okay? At the end, you might want to sell the building, and you want to, repay that money to your investors. So as you can see, I want us to be confident in who we are, what we have. We are very unique in the way we can solve things, and we are very fortunate that we have this Islam to help us in every aspect of our life. But we have to be confident. You see, like Maryam, when she put her hand on the tree and the dates fell down. This is Allah wants from us the same thing. Not to shake the tree because that's impossible, isn't it? but really to do your thing. Start something. Do your thing and Allah will shake everything for you. But you do and Allah will what? Allah is like you see Him, like you think of Him, isn't it? So if you run towards Him, He will run towards you. So by doing this, we are building resilience, we are building winning spirit, we are getting better, and ourselves we are changing through this. We are growing, maturing. And then we are becoming better versions of ourselves. And this is how you change society. Okay? Thank you very much for being guests. May Allah reward you, and thank you for watching. Assalamu alaikum.